Welcome back to the Dialogue Podcast.
Happy Wednesday to ya. Happy Wednesday to ya. Happy Wednesday.
Thank you for that brand new theme song rendition.
No problem.
We are back here at the D with
Tina
and Marie.
I'm throwing up my Sailor Moon fingers around my eyes like, ooh, okay. It's a special day.
Once we start making videos, I'll be sure to put that part in.
Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
We are audio only.
Absolutely.
For season 1 at least. Who knows what season 2 holds?
Unless it hold me down 120 pounds.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying your week thus far.
It's been interesting for me. How about yourself?
It's been tough.
Has it?
It's just been tough. But you know what? It can always be worse.
It could.
That is what keeps me going.
Right.
No
I can tell
matter
you
what.
about how worse it could be, but we need to read our prayer first.
You're right. Considering today's topic.
Is it a topic? It's just been something that's been on my mind. I read something and I'd like to share some of it with you, Marie.
You want to share it with yourself?
The other part of me is like, absolutely not. That's what I felt when I first heard the thing, and my sister was like, you gotta read it. And I was like, okay, but I'm not gonna read it alone. I am going to bring it to Marie, and Marie is going to sit through this torture with me.
And believe you me, I did. Yeah.
So, as we bow our heads,
let us remind you that the opinions expressed in this podcast are our personal opinions and must not be construed as representing the opinion of any other institution with which we are or have been affiliated with in our professional lives, aka do not come for us. Amen. Now, Tina decided she wanted to bring this foolishness over to have a mini book club reading.
I don't think 25 pages constitutes as a book.
Care less.
It's a long essay.
This mini pamphlet reading.
Right.
And what is the name of your leaflet that you want to read today?
I'm not going to read it,
but we absolutely are not going to read it.
We did read together.
You read, I listened.
Look, consider it an audiobook. That's what you want to do. It's read. The Willie Lynch Letter and the Making of Slaves by Willie Lynch. Oh, the look on your face. All
right. So, Mr. Lynch, I don't even want to put a Mr. behind this individual's name.
Sir.
Willie.
Sir Willie.
No, he ain't even a sir.
Well,
Willie.
He is a
Willie decided he wanted to give a speech.
He wrote a letter. Because the slave owners in the Virginia colonies in the year of our Lord 1712 reached out and asked his opinion about how to control their slaves.
Clearly, let me make yet another disclaimer before we really dive into this. Please do not mistake our laughter or our humor for disregard.
I have really dark humor, so sometimes you just gotta laugh or you cry.
Exactly.
I mean, I did shed a tear here or there because it's just so callous.
Laughter is more of a release for myself. so I don't build up so much tension and decide to go into some very dark places. So,
Right. And this book can take you there if you allow it. I mean, to me, the book is very comical, not because it's inaccurate, but how accurate it portrayed the situation.
And how legit it actually
when you think about it.
Like,
exactly.
This was the mindset and of some still today, but of people.
Right. And I just wanted to know, like, okay, I was just amazed that there was another person out there that thought that deeply about destroying an entire race and culture of people.
I can't imagine Jim Bob just going to his neighbor and being like, we can't get a hold of these Negroes. Let's go ahead and see what this Willie Lynch got to say to see if he can help us.
I can imagine that conversation. There's this Willie in the West Indies, in them Jamaicans. And
he know how to handle that. Them
he
niggas
don't have
down
no
there.
uprisings with his niggas.
I think we need to bring him up to Virginia.
I say we writes him a letter.
In the year of our Lord.
In the year of our Lord.
All right, let's...
1712. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go there. And as I'm traveling, I'm going to write you guys a letter.
So, before we begin, we will be reading... We're not reading the entire book, leaflet, pamphlet, 25 pages. We will be reading short inserts of certain points we will probably touch on.
What's real funny is that I'm going to assume that Willie has gone ahead of us since 1712. So when you have these copyrights, right, and it says, support the author or publisher, I feel it is our duty as African Americans to not support.
Oh, I thought that when I read
the
that
purchase
before.
of this letter. But now
I've never read the entire thing. I did, however, know about certain points.
I've never heard of it, never read it, never listened to it, never heard any points about it. It was a complete new experience for me.
Was it?
Absolutely.
I was familiar of his concept of dividing the race within the race and the whole colorism thing. I definitely thought about
somewhere, but I didn't know his name was Willie.
Oh, it came from Willie. It probably didn't even come from Willie. Who knows who Willie got it from? However,
apparently ancient Rome. That's what he said.
When we did previous episodes on, I believe episode 3 and 4 on colorism, and we had that little...
It wasn't intentional, but
wasn't intentional, but we did touch on it.
Yes, we touched it.
I thought about that, but I didn't remember exact quotes to actually reference Willie. And here we are now with his whole concept of managing an entire race of people. So without any further delay, let us begin.
So, where would you like to begin with? The first part that caught you off guard?
Yes.
All right. The first part for me that had me quite upset was the greetings.
The way he greeted the people.
Right.
Now,
he starts it off with a greeting.
For those who don't know, who have never read it, so Willie Lynch is a slave owner from the West Indies who was invited to come to Virginia to pretty much give a workshop on how to manage your slaves.
Right. They invited him to do a speech on the bank of the James River in the Virginia colonies in 1712.
Okay.
He's a British slave owner at that.
All right. First insert reads.
It's a basic greeting. I'm not going to read it. It's a basic greeting of, hello, my fellow Britons. The part that bothered me in this, in the greeting, was he says he caught a whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple miles back. This is while he's on his boat or he's on his trip to get to the place for this speech. He just casually caught a whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree. And immediately knew, because it's like you know what a specifically a dead slave smells like? Dying or dead?
Well, I would imagine, because
you didn't see it now.
Yeah, the only thing that would be
it.
out there dying like that is livestock or Negroes. Because you're not going to leave.
And you didn't think it was livestock?
Obviously, no.
I mean, once you get further into this book, we are
exactly
livestock, according
Clearly,
to this book.
the smell is a bit different. It's not going to be no white person out there just decaying. You're going to treat that body with respect.
Right.
It's not going to be left out there in the bushes. Who dare leave some white man out in the bushes for that? Nobody. But at this point in time of American, global world, earthly history.
Why couldn't you just go with global earthly history?
I mean, unfortunately, black people, that was the time, partially still is, with current headlines. It's not out the norm to just hang them up there and leave them up there. It's the family, if the slave owner would allow them to, that would go and take the body down and possibly give it some form of a burial. And that's if they let them do that.
Which they do not, because
some of them.
He likened the hanging of slaves to Romans' crucifixion along the highway. It's a sign of dominance, apparently. So that's what he likened the hanging to.
That the Romans would...
All in the same paragraph. After he smelt the dead body,
So a part of this letter to the people of Virginia, Willie decides to mention, being that he is speaking on the banks of the James River, he actually says, quote, "As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasions." Now, the first thing that jumped out to me was my boy,
illustrious King James.
Well, one, I didn't realize that the James River was named after King James.
I didn't know we had one. There we go.
Yeah.
Now I'm educated in that manner.
And how, I guess, well he spoke about the Bible we cherish, thanks to our King James.
I find that ironic. It's like as you talk about, did King James change anything about how we should treat one another? I mean, the same Bible that you so cherish.
Without changing the topic, because we can dive into that.
No,
that
we're not even going to dive into
topic.
that. I'm just saying,
King James, it is said, upon comparison of the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Bible, that King James may have allegedly altered the scriptures to suit the times that he saw for his people.
Oh, really? Because I thought King James decided to make his own version so he could have a divorce.
So he could have what?
A divorce.
Well, no, I never heard that part. Well, no, yeah, I did. Now that I think about it,
That was ancient history.
that just kind of threw me for a loop. It's not the first time I think he acknowledges the Bible or King James in this, but how much they admonish it and use it, yet treat people so cruelly. It's like it's I mean, I can't say it's like it's normal, because that was the normal.
Right. The part that I found interesting was you say that you cherish this Bible so, and yet you proceed to break down a race of people without any regard for their humanity.
But keep in mind,
but as he further goes down to see, he even mentions in there that the best way to look at it is that you're not dealing with a human race.
Correct. I don't know if that makes him feel better.
Right. He basically said that that's the way to combat that guilt, because he, in the chapter after the greetings, where it's let's make a slave. Yeah, that, which I was just blown away how let's make a deal sounds so similar to that. But anyway, let's make a slave chapter. He refers to that type of guilt that you might feel for breaking down an actual human being and treating it as cattle or horse or
right. So
some
he
other
actually likens Negroes to horses.
Correct. He said breaking down a Negro is similar to breaking down a horse, just some slight differences. There's a part in there where he talks about you may feel some type of guilt for what you're doing.
I mean, I can't necessarily say that it surprises me, because, the Bible had their slaves as well. It's just, I don't know, as much as you know it's true, it still catches you by surprise of how blatant they were.
Does it catch you by surprise?
I don't know how to describe
how many
it,
surprises
or how
do you need?
It makes.
We had roots. We like how.
Or just how
I'm not surprised at all, but how it made you feel. Okay.
That's what it is. How it made me feel. It's just, hey. It can call you to question, if you so choose, the Bible. I've been in those conversations of, the quote unquote white man's Bible, because they completely erased our history and taught us, which he goes into as well, taught us their illusions,
their versions,
illusions. And he also mentions give them an illusion, so that we are, and I'll say we for the sake of black people, dependent on them for everything.
That is correct.
So then it's like, well, how much is really true? All of this has been an illusion this whole time? I don't really know. Is this really right? It can stir that up, but I think the surprising part of it is just
how well it worked.
How well it and still works.
The part that I wouldn't say is surprising, it's not surprising at all, but the part that was very enlightening, I would say, to me, was when he said that the key to breaking them down is through the Negro female.
And when we got to that part, it made absolute sense to me, because when you really think about it, all things come from the black woman. Like you gave an example.
You break the female, and you broken every generation after her.
You're talking about the mother of life, the one who gives life, the one who nurses, the one who nurtures, the one who raises. Everything comes from.
Right. They said that we're the hardest. They said that the black female is the hardest to break, but once you've broken her, she will continue breaking down the generations after her once she's been broken. And then when you think about how they talked about selling the illusion, and the illusion was that you had to be dependent upon their God, their language, and anything that they provided you with. You see all those times that your mother brought you to church and it just was interesting. I got a few chuckles out of these titles or of the chapters. They were definitely in very funny to me, but they were right.
The way that he describes it, quote, he says, by her being left alone, speaking of the black woman, by her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen, independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. What have you got? You got the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is the perfect situation of sound sleep and economics. And when you break down and think about that psychologically, now he describes this right after he physically destroyed a black man. And by physically destroyed, meaning he killed him. I won't go into details. He tortured him. Won't go into details
the
of what he
strongest
said
of
to
the
do.
group, and then beat the crap out of the rest of them males.
Right, in front of the black woman and offspring.
Right, to destroy their idea
of rebellion.
Right.
It was take the baddest and the biggest male and kill him. But before you kill him, dehumanize, embarrass him, and torture him, and he's gone. Now take all the other males and
beat them within an inch of their life. Let me throw up those
of their life.
Let me throw up those quotes.
And the whole time, the black woman and children is watching this, only to build a system that the black woman will eventually carry forth. And if we look at the state of society within the black community, it's so prevalent, this independent mindset, or whatever she's willing to do to protect her offspring, in fear that the male would be killed, she'll teach him to obey and submit to the white man, but to be physically strong, to hopefully not be in a circumstance that he won't be able to do for himself. The white man would be like, oh, that's a strong one. We can use him. Right. Rather than a weak, frail one that will just disregard.
He'd have to be, subservient, but useful.
Correct. As far as the female, she will raise the females in her own image to be psychologically strong. In her new image, correct. To be psychologically strong. To be able, thinking about that, to be able to bear whatever comes their way. They call it a frozen state. What you think about it is practically what I know a lot of women tend to live in this frozen state of mind.
Even now.
Whether we call it a form of independence or what have you, this system is still at play today.
Mm-hmm. The system is, it makes me wonder when people say, oh, systematic racism isn't real. And I'm like, what? They're like, oh, the system is not against you. You just have to work hard. And I'm like, this just proves to you that you broke down an entire race and culture of people and set a system in place that will self-renew and self-evolve for hundreds of years.
A business mindset.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Like, this human being, I don't know if I want to call him a man or not, this human being named Willie,
I mean,
found a way.
That's even being generous, being that he called us horses.
Hey, found a way to master a system to dominate
and manipulate
an entire race of people. And I don't know if I want to call him a prophet or not, but he told them, hey, if you study this and work this whole system to the T as I am explaining it to you, you won't have trouble with your Negroes for over 300 to 400 years. This was what, 1712? We're in 2020, and this system is still at work.
To this day.
Still at work.
Till this day.
Destroy the
image
male.
Of the black male in front of
the
black woman and offspring.
And watch everything fall apart. The way he also describes it is, don't worry about the generation that you have right now.
It's not that generation. It's the generation that black female that you finally broke. Because she will be the hardest to break. But once you've broken her.
Once you break that black
the generations lady, to come after that black woman.
That's the crop that you want to nurture.
That's the one.
So don't worry about this harvest. This, you're going to have some weeds in here.
Right. At this point, you only need them for breeding. Because they going to breed you the good ones. That's horrible.
Absolutely.
Horrible.
The business tactic of it is,
I'll never look at horses the same, or donkeys, or asses,
because he literally compares his whole system with black people and horses. How do you break a horse? This is how you break a horse. And that's the way you break a horse. That's the way you gonna break this nigga. You got to do it this way. You got to do it. And I'm just like, them poor horses. I'm thinking of my kind, but I'm just like, hell, we at least got a voice. These horses have been under it for how many years?
The part that bothered me the most too, okay, I'm sorry. I know I say that a lot. There's a lot of parts.
All of this is bothersome.
There's a lot of parts that bother me during this reading. One of them being the part where he explains when you break the female horse, you break her to the point where she feels comfortable enough to eat from your hand. And when she feels that comfort, when she has her offspring, she will teach her offspring to eat from your hand, your children's hands, your wife's hands, your overseer's hands, anybody that you put in a position over that horse. Once you break that female horse by separating her from the male horse, she will break every offspring that she has into knowing that you are trustworthy. They will come and eat from your hand. And then for them to liken that to how they're going to do black people and black women, mm-hmm. It's terrifying. But then I'm seeing it in front of our faces as black women are standing in the front lines of these rallies, these protests. We are trying to be the strong ones in front. Not saying that the black males are not present, but when they said that they reversed the roles to the point where the black woman is an independent mindset, they was not playing.
You're right. I mean, now we stand here and we take pride in being independent, and independent.
I don't need a man for nothing.
Don't need no man. Don't
It's
need.
not the point, sis.
It's not. It didn't start that way, and it's not to say that you don't deserve independence, or you shouldn't be a boss, or you shouldn't have this. Absolutely not. But
the most essential thing that they broke from you to make you an independent woman was taking away the safety of the black man. Exactly. They made you not see a black man as protection,
and that's exactly how he
or safety.
And again, I reference our third and fourth episode when we touched on
how you
wanting security, and how much that has played into whether how we choose mates or how we act in relationships. Because of that lack of security, it all comes right on back to Willie. Willie destroyed the black woman's security for the sake of, like you said, comparing to the horse, trying to break that black woman into trusting his hand, wanting her to be able to trust him, master, whomever, versus seeing the protection of the black man. And therefore, she continues to raise all generations under her to acknowledge and admonish the white man. Not to say we have completely disregarded the black man. It was out of fear. It speaks of her being in this frozen state, and you have to keep the black woman in this frozen state.
Well, it's keeping the black woman in the frozen state, but in all actuality, what he described was the black woman's way of protecting. Because now she is in the role of the protector of her offspring. So in order to protect them,
of herself, of everything,
of everything,
herself, of her children,
exactly,
of other grown black men, because of what she witnessed.
Exactly. So now she is going to raise her offspring in order to protect them from that possibility. And that's what the whole point was.
All because they took away the black woman's protection.
Idea of protection, I suppose. Because go
ahead. Go ahead, because I feel like I got something to follow up right after that.
Because I understand what he's saying, but then I also don't see the black woman was never that dependent to begin with.
On what? The black man?
I always felt like black men and black women were both strong, but they were both strong in the roles that they needed to be in.
Right. Okay.
I do believe is that Willie did change those roles. Mm-hmm. But I believe the black woman would have done whatever she had to, regardless of whether the black male was there or not, to protect her children. That's just natural instinct.
Hopefully.
Well, that's what he was betting on. That literally is what he was betting on. Now, yeah, and then you have
so common, and some of these natural instincts ain't so natural.
And that's the perversion of what he caused. That's what some of the things that he caused. I hear dipping and dropping blood.
We ain't gonna go there yet.
Dipping and dabbing.
Because I do hear what you're saying, and I do believe
whiteness.
that sure, black men and black women were equally, or they each had their jobs to do. But he completely stripped the black man of all he had. He was nothing but muscle. Black men were nothing but muscle and sperm. You a good one, I'm going to use you to breed. That's it. You're going to handle these crops and you're going to breed. We're not going to use it to think. We're not going to use it to protect. You just laborers. That's it. Everything else fell on the black woman. Hence, today. Black women out here raising kids, working jobs, entrepreneurs. I'm a boss. I'm going to start this. I'm going to do this. You can't tell me what to do. I make my own money. I do this. I do that. I can understand when speaking to some men why they feel they're not needed. Why they feel they can go out and do this and do this and do that. Oh, because she's not doing this, or she don't respect me, or she don't see me this way. Hey, sir, it wasn't necessarily my fault. Willie decided back in 1712 that he was going to reverse some roles.
Nah, actually, that was your mama's fault, sir. That was all your mama.
Well, coming down this chain
same way this independent woman that you over here talking to, it's my mama's fault too. It's my mama's, it's your mama's, it's our mama's fault.
And I do hear when, men admonish the black women, and, if women would only realize what they have. I get that. And I think that's what I took away from more so in that particular chapter, is really realizing what we have. If Willie knew the only way you're going to make this work is you break that woman. That's the only way this is going to work. And she is going to be the hardest thing to break. But if you can break her, you good. This is going to work, and it's going to last for years. Willie knew how important black women were. He practically based this whole system on the possibility of breaking the woman. You have to break her if this is going to work. If you can't get that woman to break, you're gonna continue to have a hard time. You're gonna be out here wasting crops and hanging niggas from the trees.
Right, because the black woman. So if the black woman's reaction to watching the black male be destroyed in front of her was just like, well, shit,
we might not be here. He wasn't no good no way. We might not be here, but not to say, and I don't say this to downgrade black men at all. Absolutely not. I say that to hopefully not only get black women to maybe take another look. It gives a whole new meaning, at least for me, where it says to stay woke. Because when he's talking about keeping everybody in this frozen state, yeah, it's time to wake up out this frozen state. Not to only
no more tea for you. Get out.
Not only to hopefully get women to really, black women at this, at this particular time, to really look at what they have within them, and also black men to hopefully regain their position.
It's funny that this book was written or distributed or whatever have you, and I hope that some people who are listening will go and read this. As hard as it may be to read, will go and read this so that they can get the whole picture. Because I know we are jumping around a lot. Absolutely. Because we can't really go into depth like how we did when we were doing our one-on-one and we read it. We really went in on this, but we can't do that. But today,
we actually might. I think that we should. But more. But
I feel like the thing is about information. That we had in mind. Right. The thing about this letter is that he also expresses that controlling of the language that the black man has, or the black people have access to. Mm-hmm. He took away the culture. He took away their language, that the only way they can communicate was from whatever knowledge they had, or basic knowledge of the words that they allowed us to have.
Right.
Or the knowledge that they allowed us to have, which is why reading was a problem. But sometimes my sister would joke and say, yeah, if you ever want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book, because they won't read it. And
we know where it came from. I mean,
and to know that this information is there and is available, it literally explains how to break us, but it gives us a way of how to not to break to break out of it.
Correct.
If every woman at this point, since what we do is so important for generations and generations and generations after us, as we wake and we understand and we have the knowledge, we now are in a situation where we can change the narrative, or we can change how we are raising our sons and how we are raising our daughters from this point on. Once you have that knowledge to know that this is not the role that you're supposed to be in, sweetie. So you have to raise the next generation to know that this is not okay and this is not what you should accept.
Exactly. It can be difficult reading because it holds nothing back. It's fairly descriptive, but I mean, shoot, we're watching people get murdered right in front of us.
Right. If you're okay with those videos on YouTube's or on the webs, Twitter, whatever, if
Willie
you can
over
handle
here telling it just like it is.
Tell me, read the book, and then let us know if you don't see that going on in the system that we are currently in and how they portray the black man. Now, every time something happens, the first thing they do is pull up a record, if that person has a record.
Again, stripping him
of his dignity and everything that and his humanity, and letting you say, oh, well, he may have deserved it because he did the XYZ, or he was brought in on charges for XYZ, or he was a drug addict or a drug dealer, or all these other things. They quickly strip the black man of his dignity, of his humanity, that would lead you to believe, well, maybe he deserved it. Nobody ever deserves that,
black or otherwise. So depending on how much you are able to handle, there are mixed emotions. I know I definitely had mixed emotions as we went through each page. It's not long at all.
Just exactly how it got mixed with how he he also mentions how to get the right combination of white and Negro together, just to get the right, all depending on how white you want your offspring to be, how many drops of Caucasian blood you got to dip into the Negro woman, to get the right combination. If you want them a little whiter
than others,
then you gotta pick the right, the right stroke for that. Oh, girl, I was laughing. The way he describes it is like, I'm going to just dab a little bit in this one. And to Mary Sue, I'm going to do like 6 dabs into Susie Q over there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she might have the lighter ones. You know what I'm saying? The ones that I can bring inside to the missus, and pass them off as her kids, because she can't have none. And then has Susie raise them like she's their nanny. That was just disrespectful. You know how many times that probably happened? That's horrible. Horrible. The way he describes how to thoroughly break a black woman is disgusting. And he says it so nonchalant. Just keep coming to her until she accepts you. And if she doesn't, a couple strikes with the bullwhip,
we'll get her right back in line.
We'll get her right back in line.
I mean, in overall, the way he breaks it down is just by saying, quote unquote, keep the body, take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. Once you are capable of breaking the human spirit to fight back, you got a slave. In any means that you look at it, take out race. Even if we break it down into the horses, again, I see why he uses horses, animals, people, black, white, cultures, anything. You take away the will to resist. You just succeeded in Willie Lynch 101, how to make a slave.
I am just sitting here completely disgusted at what the black woman had to endure. Because if she was the hardest to break, what she had to endure to finally get to that point.
Black women are still enduring today.
Absolutely.
The part that slightly angers me is
the amount.
It's not even acknowledged all the time of the endurance of black women. It's mistaken for sass or being controlling or being too hard, not being feminine enough. But you're calling us all these different characteristics, but you're not diving into why some women may portray those things. Again, it's all out of protective instincts. She's endured so much already. And this is the mindset that she's in just to try to survive. However she can survive, and as long as these offsprings survive.
She did her job.
That's what she did. Was it the right thing to do? Now that I think about it, no. But
you have to think about
hard choice,
right?
To make till this day.
At this point, she's not about fighting. She's about surviving, and she's been in surviving mode. And she's taught every child, every daughter that she's had, how to survive
versus how
and
to
let
live.
them know how strong you have to be in order to survive it.
And we're still there.
It's like, it's not even something that we can even pretend like we don't have. It's ingrained in us. There's no, like, I'm thinking about the things, the warnings that you've heard from your mother when you were probably young and growing up and becoming a woman. They seem to be overprotective things that you were probably like, yo, why do you always got to talk to me? Like, why does everything have to be so hard?
Because I'm teaching you how to survive.
And I'm teaching you how to survive. They don't even say that. They don't even say that.
We are harping on this. Oh. There's other chapters in here, but I guess we're on this one so much. I can say for myself because it hits me so personal. Not only because I start to think of my lifestyle and some of the actions that I've took in my life, in my household, things I might have said, things that I've done. I start to look at the motive behind it. Mm-hmm. Was it always good? No. I can look back and be like, I knew that decision wasn't good. But at that moment in time, I made that decision because my child. I made that decision because I was trying to keep my family out of a particular situation. I was trying to survive. That's all it was. At the end of the day, I just wanted us to survive.
And sometimes I feel that that's everyone. That's like all black people. We are just trying to survive.
Period. At this point,
we want nice things. We strive for some nice things, but at the end of the day, we just trying to survive at a level that's just
trying to reverse these roles.
Says, it's not going to be this first crop. It's going to be everyone after that.
I can remember talking to a counselor one time, and I didn't realize it until it was said back to me. When I said, yeah, there are certain things I'll take on because I know that I can handle it better than he can. In reference to my husband.
And what made you feel that way?
Well, why put all that burden on yourself? Why take all of that? Why not just let him carry it? And it's like, I don't know. I've been carrying it for so long. I can carry it better. I guess I'm used to carrying it. in so many aspects, I was raised to carry it. And so that's what I do.
Just go ahead and carry it.
I can remember there's a time, even this has been passed down from generation to generation. My mother would tell me sometimes you have to bite your tongue and swallow the blood.
Oh, I've been told that a lot, but I don't seem to listen to that
in my
all.
adult years. When I was younger, I was like, I don't know. I'll see. My mouth, if I need to, I'm gonna say something. But then,
how often did you feel the need?
I did more so. I can say definitely before I had a child. Having a child, I felt that phrase more so in my life than any other time. I would bite my tongue and swallow the blood. Because if I say something, if I do something, if I do this, there can be possible backlashes that will come against my child. Here I am, protection mode, survival mode. And if that means I might have to suck this one up and take one for the team. Let's stay focused, Tina.
I'm focused, Marie. Focused enough to catch that pause.
If I got to take this hit for the team.
Right.
Then that's what I'm going to do. Because at the end of the day, as long as they're okay.
Okay.
And I say that in reference to my child and my husband. But that has also created this enabling system that we also have.
Right, because that was going to be my next question. I was going to say,
yeah,
who's on your team, Marie? Who's on your team? Because I know your child can be on. See, that's the thing. You got to know who's on your team. And if this really is a team, then there has to be some type of discussion. There is not, I'm going to just bite this bullet. But then I don't have a kid, so I see things differently because they ain't no way by, no.
Every situation is different. I'm not saying that this is what has happened all the time. I can just, after reading this, I took time to myself and I could actually pinpoint things in my life and realize, I was raised this way, unintentionally raised this way to be this person. And I look at how systematically it worked.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Because I think about how I was raised and I think about what I personally considered is a wife and what that entails for me. And to be honest, if that's what it entails, I am not. I mean,
hey, you build your relationship however you choose to build.
Right, I'm not saying everybody's different.
Especially when we go into submission.
What is that?
It's something different to everybody.
Is it part of foreplay?
That too.
Because that's the only definition of submission that I know.
Oh, okay. Well,
another podcast, though. That's a whole nother podcast. But as you were saying,
submission comes up quite a bit.
That's it.
And stay focused, Marie. Submission comes up quite a bit.
Your focus needs more focus.
And don't make me lose my train of thought right now. We're going to talk about that in another podcast, please.
Train. Okay.
What?
I'm so sorry. Back to your train of thought.
Not that train whatsoever. Submission comes up that if a woman doesn't do everything the man says, she's not submissive.
Who brought up that definition of submission?
I don't know. Check Webster. And at this point, I don't even know if Webster's accurate because according to Willie, he said, take away their language, their history, and all that they know and feed them an illusion that will allow them to depend upon us. I damn near questioning everything.
My definition of submission is what? An illusion.
Exactly.
I mean, what are you going to tell me? You're going to tell me that it's in the Bible? Oh, you mean that? Is it the King James version? Is it our illustrious King James version of the Bible? Yes, I said Bible. It's the Bible. I know.
All of this can go into so many different directions. It's just what you take from it. What I hope that you take from it is, it's like somebody giving you the cheat sheet to a test.
That's how I see it.
You've been failing this test for decades. Here comes the cheat sheet. This is how they made the test.
Hundreds.
Break the test and win.
You've been failing this test.
2020 is time to win this test. And exactly what your sister has said, how do you keep a nigga dumb? Put all of this stuff in the book.
So what you're saying is all we have to do is study the book and we will pass? Oh. Really?
Now, I mean, you might need some tutors, some mentors. You might
Somebody
need some
read
help
this
to
book
get
online, so everybody do an audible version of this book, just for those of us who don't like to read.
Like me.
Let there be an audible version.
I'm not fond of it. It needs to catch my attention. However, I'm not completely ignorant to reading.
I love reading.
Like I said, I actually knew some of the aspects. I didn't know how much detail.
I usually avoid books like that, honestly. I just...
Yeah, and
it gets my
that's
blood
not the first
boiling.
time I've heard that. I've heard black people saying, they would rather not read that. They would rather not watch this movie or this documentary or this or that. They just don't want to see it. It's too much. I get that. I absolutely do get that. But I also feel we can't block it out entirely.
There's absolutely no way to block it out entirely.
No, you have some who can. And that's where they living in a whole different world where it's like, I don't get why all of this is going on. But you black. How you not understand why? Like, have you not experienced anything? Or even if you have, you still find sense in the system that we're living in. Why? Because there's chapters that you're missing. You didn't read the Willie chapter that explains the psychological breaking that went down years ago to raise this new harvest that we got now. But if we can then take his system, break that system that's been used to break us, and raise a whole different crop, watch what's about to come up out of not only America, but this entire globe.
308 years to be exact.
Thank you for the math, Tina.
I'm sorry.
And the same way he stresses and starts it with a black woman is the exact same way it's going to break. He used the black woman to break an entire race. It's going to be a black woman to recreate this entire race. But it's going to be, we're going to need black women to wake up out of this frozen psychological state.
Get out.
Continue to support the black man. And in that, I see what he's talking about. Don't worry about this crop right here. Don't worry about.
If you already had a generation of kids and
don't
worry about them. Don't worry about that one.
This one might not be it.
Wait for their grandbabies, and then you be that grandma. Be like, wake up.
Even if that's all you can say at that time.
Wake up.
If this man ain't acting right, he can't really get it together. Don't worry about this generation. We gonna raise a whole new one.
I just think we all need to get on the same page. Like, I
to get on the same page, we all got to at least get into the same book. Some of us don't want to read the book. Some of us don't want to watch what's going on or be a part of. I don't want to have this discussion. It's too hard. It's too hurtful. It's too old. Miss, exactly how old is it? It's still happening today.
So true. I mean, some of us have grandparents that are in their hundreds.
Right.
which
it
means
ain't old. It's not old at all.
Right.
We just became free in 1876, supposedly, allegedly. I just think freedom evolved in 1876, or slavery evolved in 1876.
And that was only 144 years ago.
Again, thank you for the math.
No problem. That's what calculators are for.
I think we'll definitely touch on this again.
That's crazy though.
We'll have a group effort. If you're familiar with the Willie Lynch Letter and the making of slaves, we would appreciate your comment, your feedback. Even if you want to be in on the next episode, it's not going to be the next episode, but the episode that we do have or will have coming up, where we may actually dive into this more with more people on the panel, then feel free to let us know. I mean, we would definitely welcome more opinions, more perspective, more mindsets. How did you feel after reading this? What did you see? Did you see yourself in there? Did you recognize traits and characteristics and strategies and everything that's explained in there? Can you see the system at work?
I see the system at work, sis. I saw the system at work.
We didn't even hit all of the highlights that we just got stuck on the black woman.
It's not. We didn't get stuck. We hit that's the point. That was the point of the entire book.
If you can't break her, you don't get. You can't.
I'm not saying like how many men did they have to kill to break her? I don't think it was just the one.
Absolutely not.
They had to run after her kids.
You got some weak women out there now.
Right, but
we are very widespread and diverse. You got some that are real stubborn and bullheaded. You have some.
I guess it depends on the tribe. But
exactly, and they got us from everywhere. Some of us was already here.
Okay.
On the new quote unquote.
But like
land.
I said,
some of us crossed over.
But like Willie said, he went into a lot of different ways in order to break the black woman. So I don't think
it wasn't only destroying the black man.
It wasn't only destroying the black man.
As a white slave owner, you can test the waters of different ways of how, to
get the right results that you're looking for by experimenting with the black women. That's what makes me wonder what the black woman really had to endure this entire trial, you know what I'm saying, to get to the point where she's broken. You see what I'm saying? Because the way he describes it, it's like, depending on the type of female, it may just break her if you kill the black man in front of her. If not, there are several other experiments that you can do by force until the point where she is non-resistant. And if she still resists, beat her a couple times. That'll get her to calm down, and then you can go back with your experiments to break her. That's how you're gonna put it. It's like, what did she go through?
As harsh as it is, the silver lining, because I can still find a silver lining in it.
Here goes this damn silver lining.
The silver lining I found. Miss, if at any point in time you thought you were weak, I hope you know the strength that you actually have within you. As a woman, the whole phrase "strength of a woman," it just gave me an entirely new mindset. If they had to build a book based on different ways and strategies to break me, just so they can get to everything else and everybody else, I'm absolutely just not a weak one. At this point, I don't care who comes to me, who says what name, what word, what this. You can say what you want about me. Clearly, I have more strength inside of me than I know.
And I don't necessarily consider what she did as being broken. I just think she just went into survival mode.
Yeah. The thing is, we don't have to survive anymore. It's time to start living. No, we don't need to survive anymore. It's time to start living. Going back to that quote that he said, if you can keep the body and take the mind, in other words, break the will to resist, take that mind back. Everything was systematically created to keep these black women in a frozen state of mind. If we wake up, we walk around here with all of these black fists and t-shirts and afro pics and everything talking about stay woke, but a lot of us ain't really wake up yet. We still psychologically frozen. I can't even imagine the outcome after that. I can't imagine it. It's like, I liken it to like Martin Luther King talking about, I see the mountaintop. Like, this surpasses the mountaintop. I can't imagine what would happen if the black woman actually woke up. And by waking up, she'll help wake that man up. There's men who are already awake. But unfortunately, he has to fight with the black woman to try and get that balance back. Because we've been taking it so long. We've been carrying that load so long. We've been independent all this time. We can't put it down. Exactly. We can't put it down. If we put it down, black man, you might die. So it's not because we want, and I can't even speak for all black women, because I mean, we're all different. You got some who is just I'll put
it down with the quickness. Yeah, you can have it, but once you got it, you gotta hold on to it. Because I ain't picking it back up. There's no picking it back up from here.
It's tough.
It is.
It's tough. Break the cycle.
Fight the power.
I ain't even, at this point, I ain't even trying to say stay woke no more, because are we really awake? Break the cycle.
Are we still drinking tea?
Some of us are. Some of us are.
Well.
This if Willie only knew the power his letter would give.
To the black woman.
Exactly.
Can you imagine? Oh, I don't.
Willie must be turning in his grave after this podcast. Them damn Negroes, they ain't supposed to take that from my book. All right.
Who taught these Negro women to read? Who told them how to read? Didn't I specifically tell you not to let them have a language? Once they know your secrets, they know your
and
lies.
And they telling everybody else. They telling I'm finna tell everybody.
That's precisely what he said you was going to do.
I'm telling.
Ooh, I'm finna tell. I'm fixing to tell. All right. Well, this has been another interesting podcast.
It has. We didn't even get into everything we were supposed to get into. My apologies. I got a little emotional on the black woman. I absolutely took it personal. I took it absolutely personal. How dare?
How dare you?
How dare you make a plan off of me?
You lit liquor. Oh, goodness. Oh, man. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm just going to apologize for now. Yeah, I got jokes. I always have jokes. It helps to ease the pain, the tears. There's a lot of tears. There's a lot of unshed tears. That's the other damn problem with black women. When we out here just being strong, not crying and shit.
Let it go. Let it out.
No. I'm gonna tell you
It's
the
not
problems I have
weakness.
with that song and that whole Frozen issue. Let it go my ass.
Well,
It's like, when did they become part of a tribe? It's like, what tribe was she from?
which one, Elsa?
Elsa's mom.
All them little magical people. I don't remember the movie. All them little magical people.
All them people, Hanana, hey, Anna. Yeah, I heard it. And I was like, where are these natives from? Who are these natives? Where are these? Aren't they in like the Swiss Alps or something? The dude's name is Sven. What is going on? Not Steven, Sven. But okay.
Clearly, she mixed.
The magical people that were locked away in the forest with
Ain't
some
that
random
something?
black man.
Her mother. Her mother came from this tribe,
That is correct.
but they came out looking just like their daddy.
They look like their mama too. They were all
No.
Snow White.
Her mother can just pass for it. Clearly,
Oh, clearly.
her mother could pass.
We are
she
so
wanted-
off topic.
she
So
wanted
that
them
is
that can
our
pass
show for
for
today. We're not doing that.
Oh, we finna do it one day though. Deep Disney, it's coming.
Oh God, no!
It is
All right,
coming.
so thank you,
Disney
ladies.
over here hiding a
And
whole
gentlemen.
bunch of stuff in plain sight. We over here watching and kikiing with it. I told you about the what were we watching? Emperor's New Groove. And the theme song guy that came out singing in the Emperor's New Groove.
I didn't think that y'all heard it because I knew I heard it when I
I'm
first.
so sorry for going off topic. This
No.
this just kind of got me.
I
and threw
heard
me
it
for a loop.
When we first heard the thing, I remember that verse. And I was just like, oh, so we're okay with this? Okay. And I, shrug his shoulders because I was like, if nobody else is bothered by the hanging, then I'm okay with it too.
I've always kind of heard it, but I never took into consideration all that it says. So, watching it with my child, rewatch. She's getting into that one, like introducing her to little bits of different Disney movies, not just all this new stuff. We going back into some of the old stuff, and we'll talk about it.
No.
But once we got to that particular part, I said, "Now wait a minute, I can't just be having her watch everything. What did he just say?" Did my research, and this man said there are despots and dictators, political manipulators. There are blue bloods with intellects of fleas. There are kings and petty tyrants who are so lacking in refinements they'd be better suited swinging from the trees. This is a Disney song that he's just dancing around and singing and jumping out of cakes, and it looks so fun. But then I read the lyrics.
Welcome to the distraction of
Disney
with Cusco. But yeah,
I'm sorry.
nobody
Absolutely going off.
Why
It
doesn't
still kind of blends in with this topic.
It absolutely does, because what he says applies to what's going on exactly right now, especially that first part.
They are
Blue
better
bloods.
off swinging from the trees.
Is it? Like who? Willie Lynch.
And if you were absolutely under a rock for who knows how many years, that is where the term lynching came from. You'd be surprised how many people just learned that today.
You were today years old
when you learned that lynching came from this man's name, Willie Lynch. Anywho, deep Disney it is next time. Because Disney out here telling it like it is. We just get wrapped up in color and animation. Some of us be missing it. We are going to end it there. This discussion at least, because there is plenty to go. There is always plenty to go. We just like to touch on different topics, as I think I'm starting to kind of see that we don't go all the way in all the time. We just give enough to get the dialogue started. Hopefully you take that and you pick it up and run with it and continue the conversation. I think that's the whole
like you're running for freedom. I'm so sorry.
Found a way to tie that one in.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you, Marie.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Absolutely, likewise, Tina. I do hope that we were able to get this conversation started for many.
And hopefully keep it going, because sometimes I feel like we get onto something as a people. We start with something, it trends, and then it falls off. And then we end up back here a year later doing the same thing again, being upset again, because we don't follow through. We don't keep the conversation going. We don't keep talking about it. We just try to forget it and move on past it. Or we're told to just move on to bigger and better things. That was last year.
Let it go.
So let's not move on. Let's move on, but let's move on in the same direction. Let's keep this going. Keep the conversation going. Keep the dialogue going.
Oh, look at you!
Look at me. You saw you pick it up.
What you put down.
All right,
I got it.
All right. All right, so
let's not move on. Let's grow.
That's right. Let's grow. Let's thrive.
Let's live.
No longer survive.
Need to survive.
We will thrive. All right.
Want to beat?
Don't make me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Dialogue Podcast. Remember, you can reach us on our social media accounts. We are still new to Facebook. Go ahead and check us out there. Make sure you like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can find us on Facebook at The D-Pod.
Good one.
We couldn't use the Dialogue Podcast, but close enough. At
The D-Pod.
The D-Pod on Facebook. Be sure to check us out there. And like always, we're on Instagram at The Dialogue Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search The Dialogue Podcast. We are trying to grow everywhere. We are everywhere.
One day we should try to do it live.
One day. When the glory comes.
I'm not ready for the glory.
You're not?
No, because usually when you hear your old folks talking about the glory, they're talking about that white man's heaven, and I'm not ready for that glory yet. Okay, all right.
On that morning.
So continue the conversation. Continue to be safe. Be blessed.
We ain't trying to stay woke. Wake the hell up.
Wake up! Get out.
And
have some dialogue. Good day, ladies.